included in the stream. And
How do you
hello. Marco's just getting us to have a quick look at an issue that is more, just discussion before we jump into your mind-boggling one.
Oh, I hope it's not that hard. I think I oversold it. It should be, we'll have no problem.
I don't know. N+1
N+1.
is quite a, it's quite
N+1.
but we shall say. Well, I've just hit stream, so I wanted to kind of share my screen so those watching the stream can see what we're talking about, the background. So what did we do? Step one, the button on this page, the edit button, now takes into account whether you've got any forks. Now, I've got write access to this project, so it's not going to help, but if I didn't have write access to this project, clicked on that, it would show me a list of all the forks I've got write access to. I can flip to one of those. The next step, Marco wrote some missing sort of feature specs for this, and then migrated this. So I would now find that this is a view component, right, Marco?
I don't know if that's on staging yet, but
it might not quite have made its way, but essentially, so it's wrote some missing feature specs, they're there, all good, then converted this to a view component, and now it's a view component. We can finally start to look at improving kind of the behavior of the button. So this was kind of the plan and the design. So we just got to talking about the fact that if the button becomes a drop down, we don't think that we can have the same sort of split that we currently have, where there's actually two buttons, one to show the total number of forks and one to kind of show this. Don't think that's a big problem. So we would show, maybe even to keep it simple, maybe we don't have the filter. It depends, I suppose. If you get the filter for free, if there's no real effort, then we could include it. But if there's sort of much involved in including that, then perhaps like we start basic with just a list of forks.
Yeah.
But so we've got the total number of forks. The drop down shows all the ones you've got write access to, so you can easily flick to one, and also gives you the option to create a new fork and to view all forks. I like it. So I think you know this, but I'm just trying to picture how this looks.
Can I backtrack a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
You said that you want to change the fork button to a drop down, but you don't think you can have the drop down next to the split count. Is that confirmed, or is that just an assumption?
So I think you've confirmed that, right, Marco? You mean
yeah,
because that seems like an odd limitation.
Well, I can understand it, because you wouldn't really know, like, if this comment was actually two buttons. I don't know, actually. Like, where
that's a good one, because you basically, with the fork one, you want what you have there with that comment one, but the other way around, where the first element is the drop down and the second one's just a button.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's almost like you don't really need. Do you know what I mean? It does. Like what the? Okay, step back. It's a button with just a number on it. So what would you expect that button to do, I guess, is the question. And you wouldn't
it be two buttons though? Or a button and a link, really?
Yes. So say forks was a drop down, and then next to it had a button with 472 on it.
Mm-hmm.
You would probably guess what that button would do, but you would be guessing, right?
The button with the number on?
Yes.
Yep.
I would say no. You wouldn't be guessing.
Go on.
You know what it does, because it's like GitHub and GitLab have had exactly the same thing for, 10, 15 years at least? Everyone knows what that number does.
Yeah,
Okay.
true, kind of, because the other website also changed that.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I'm sort of like you can assume, and most people will from experience. However, what I assume when you can be explicit and have the forks drop down, which shows all the writable forks, a create fork button, and a view all forks button. I think that would be
that's more explicit.
The only counter I could see would be that it would require kind of 2 clicks, one to activate the drop down and one to click on view all forks, if that's what you wanted to do.
So my intention there was really, is something being changed because it has to be changed due to a limitation, or is it a deliberate change because we think it's improving the UI?
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
or
absolutely.
is it change for change's sake?
I think that the change was probably initially because we thought that that was maybe a limitation. However, now having looked at it and discussed it, I genuinely believe that that's a better experience, more verbose, more explicit, more user-friendly, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's the same reason of my second design if you go to the other one, because right now when the fork button is disabled, you don't know why. You have to either hover it with the old implementation, and with the new one in Vue, you can't even show the tooltip on the disabled button. So having a warning message or something like that explicitly tells you why you can't create a fork is better than not showing anything and only having a disabled button.
I feel like you've been very good. You've read our pajamas guidelines, right? Because
no,
I think
it's just common sense.
No, not this bit, but this bit. I think my natural reaction would be to hide the create fork button.
Oh, okay.
But I believe that somewhere we do have guidance. I don't know an easy way of, if I find a merge request that I've got in Blight, assuming you can see this okay. Typical, we don't do it in this instance. I was expecting to see a merge button that said like why I couldn't click on the merge button because I was the author or whatever. So typically we don't do it there, but yeah, maybe we should check the guidelines. I believe that they do say something something along those lines. But yeah, I think that's great. So you've kind of answered my questions, I think, in the design, but maybe not in the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Let me just check. Well, I can't remember what I said. We will show the number of forks. Yeah, okay. Option to show all visible forks. Yeah, okay, which that's the one that you've answered in the diagram and maybe here, but not the top. But we display a maximum number of folks. Cool. Yeah, so I think just a tiny bit more fleshing out on here. And if it's going to be any more work to add the filter, I would probably not add it in the first iteration.
Yeah, as a first iteration, we could skip over that.
And GraphQL, I guess you'll get scrolling, right? The box isn't gonna go crazy. And GraphQL return like a maximum of 100. And yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
I like it. Who did you initially?
I thought this was on group tenant scale, but then so I pinged Christina, but then she pinged me over to the group source code.
Okay, so we'd probably want to find our UXy person to ping on it once we've fleshed out a little bit more. Cool. Any more questions or concerns or?
Not for me.
Awesome. I like it. Good progress. Okay, I'll stop sharing. Mrs. Your GDK in a fit state?
Yes. Okay, let me share my screen. Thing. And I'll also post the issue on Discord. I have that here. Okay, so basically it's this issue of adding a get all pipeline trigger GraphQL endpoint for those of you who haven't been following this saga. And it works. That's the only thing that I need to add is testing for n+1 and some error path stuff. And when I added the n+1 test, I believe the test is working, but it's working and showing that there's an n+1 problem. So we need to fix the code in the GraphQL query potentially to solve that. So Lee, you had a look and you were right. I could remove the resolver and I could remove that excessive connection type. So I did that, but then when I was futzing around trying to get the n+1 stuff working, I added back the resolver. So that's basically where I'm at. So there's this field pipeline triggers on CI/CD settings. And this is the resolver that works as is, but this is what causes the n+1 issue. So when I run the test, it expected 17 queries, but got 18. And I think it's because it's coming from either the owner, because when it queries for each pipeline trigger, it then queries an owner, and the owner has a bunch of subfields. So that nesting I thought could have been the problem. Or it could also just be all of the triggers. But I think it was related to the owner. So I'm not quite sure. And the two solutions that I thought could work would either be preloading using look ahead or using the batch model loader. And I'm not sure which one applies better. So I was trying both and have got some commented out things trying both here.
Cool. Sorry, I just missed whether did you try the delegate thing that I mentioned at all?
I did. We can try that again together because maybe I didn't delegate properly. I have notes on what I did, so I can show you what I did if you want to try that as the most simple solution.
Yeah, so I might have got this completely wrong, but my understanding, because I had this problem elsewhere.
Yeah.
The way that I understand it is that all of the normal fields. So if you go to the pipeline trigger type,
yeah,
you've got yeah, or to be honest, any of them. All of these fields that you expose are kind of fields or relationships which exist on this object itself. And I think that, I don't know what I call it, but the engine is intelligent enough to generate an SQL statement that will select and join the relevant tables and fields to get your data in a single query. As soon as you start using a resolver, I believe that then kind of breaks that, so it no longer does a big select with joins. It then does something a bit different. Now, I could be wrong with that, but yeah, if the field or the relationship was exposed directly, I don't think we would have that problem.
Okay.
So
let me pull up my notes here. These are just my thoughts. This is what I did to get the delegation working. So I delegated on the project CI/CD settings.
Perfect, yeah.
CI/CD settings. And I just threw this at the top somewhere.
To be fair, if you've got what you did, we probably don't need to do it again, but I'm just intrigued to
this is what I did.
Yeah,
and then
so
I just changed
that.
And then I changed to directly access the pipeline triggers in that CI/CD setting type, and I defined pipeline triggers directly there.
So you still had, so I would suggest we just quickly, just to be 100% sure, but we try doing this again, but without defining a custom method. Just expose project triggers directly. I don't think it's going to fix it, but to save ourselves a bit of pain if it does.
Okay, so then this, I can get rid of the resolver.
Yeah.
And then this should be connected directly. I think that's everything then.
Yes, I think you called it project triggers rather than pipeline triggers. So you'd need to change the
Oh, you're
field name. Well, not
Or
that because you're
here.
delegating.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I guess yeah, so you could call it pipeline delegate. No, because it's a different. You're wanting
Because
to.
the model
there
is
might
the
be a way
trigger.
to do that. Yeah, exactly. But why don't you just change it to triggers in your pipeline trigger type, or your CI/CD settings type? Just call it triggers,
Yes,
as
here.
long as that doesn't conflict with anything else at the moment.
I don't think it does. Okay. Should we try it in graphical?
Just to check it works. Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably just because I haven't run the GraphQL docs again.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, I'm not even sure that you need to do the docs. I think you just need to refresh, reload the browser, reload the page, and that will.
Gotcha.
I think it's called introspection, but I could be wrong. I think it actually runs a GraphQL query that gets all the schema back. And gives you that kind of autocomplete IntelliSense, whatever we call it.
Okay, field implement project CI/CD settings.triggers, which did not exist.
Okay, so why would it not be able to find?
Triggers on project CI/CD. Okay, so it's not finding the triggers.
So it sounds like it's found the field in the GraphQL type, I think, but then when it's tried to take that next hop, it's not finding like the method again. So you could bring up a Rouse console and then just grab a CI/CD setting object and then try that .triggers. If that works, then I would have expected this to.
So here we go. Okay, so I think we can do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That .triggers. Yeah.
Triggers. Okay, undefined method triggers. Yeah. For the project CI/CD setting.
So can you show me that delegate that you created again? It looked on the surface okay. So you're saying delegate triggers to project prefix true. What does prefix true? Does that mean you have to do project? Yeah, sorry. I presume that prefix true means that actually, if you go into pipeline, the CI/CD settings type, it actually does need. Oh, yeah, on here, if you do project triggers.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
okay.
it. Sorry. Okay, so update one or the other. Probably the CI/CD settings type is the best one to update, and just change that to project triggers. Awesome.
Okay. Well, let's try running the test, and we can go run.
Well, the test will fail because
because I changed all the names.
Yes, exactly.
Also, okay.
And here also you have to change triggers to
Sheesh. Project triggers. Okay. Yay.
Okay, so
that worked.
But that's no massive miracle. It's just a question of whether the n+1.
Okay, so then we can have a look at the test. Is anything going to be weirdly named now? Probably in this query. Project triggers. Project triggers. And I think the rest should be okay. Bye-bye trigger. Okay. Great. Okay, so that was the other one. Let's try running that again.
You didn't save the file.
It auto saves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have done that so many times that I just set up the VS Code setting. So anytime I unfocus from the window, it auto saves.
Nice.
And I noticed that if I run just the test, the one test on line 104, it passes. I think because it doesn't run all the other stuff, and so it doesn't have all the excess queries. So I have to run the entire file, I believe, for it to actually create everything.
Because I would have thought that the baseline was created on line 105. So that's weird.
That also sounds that also sounds like the test needs fixing, because
Oh,
tests shouldn't depend upon each other, should they?
Shouldn't
Yeah.
it? No, it's weird.
Isolated.
So one other thing that I think would be really good, where you create the CI trigger on line 107, could we change that to a create list and create 2 of them? So you just pass, that's it. Yeah, after CI trigger, you tell it how many you want. So just 2 or 3
Just
or
like
whatever
that?
like that. Yeah, perfect. I'm really interested to see, does it go 17, 18, 19, or does it still stay at 18? Because if we only add one query, no matter how many CI triggers we have, then I'm not worried about the n+1. But if it is directly correlated to the number of CI triggers, then obviously it makes sense that we need to fix
I think
it.
this might fail because of a non-unique token. Because I used to have a list with 2, and I cheated the system by taking one out, so it didn't have that unique token problem. But we
Okay.
should probably fix that too.
Okay.
It could have also been a different way I set things up, but yeah, I tried fixing it by adding faker so that it was recreated, but for some reason it was still giving an error.
Okay.
I was going to say, is this actually an n+1, or is it because you are actually doing a new query?
Validation fail. No, so what this query recorder does is it records the block in the first one, so the GraphQL query, and all the SQL that happens off the back of it, and then does the same thing after when you then create your new object, and then you run sort of the same query again, as in the same GraphQL query, and it records all of the SQL that generates. It then compares the 2 side by side, and essentially, sees if there's any additional queries in there, which in this case there is. Okay, so it's complaining about the token. So
As a quick fix, could we just revert back to the create and call it twice?
I think so, yeah. Do you have to provide token? Can you not let it generate that itself?
That's a good question.
Because
You're right.
as a factory, I would have thought that the factory would automatically populate
Let's
token.
try. Oh, it doesn't go back to this. Okay, create
Weird.
list 2.
And so I get rid of the description as well, in all honesty. And then, let's.
Okay.
Awesome. Sorry in advance if that breaks.
It's a good experiment.
Yeah, well, I always try and just, sounds bad, but do the bare minimum, right? The factory should be capable of creating an object, a record, an entity, whatever you want to call it, with pretty much providing nothing at all. And you only provide the things that you absolutely need to. Like if we need it to be for the right project. So we need to provide the project, and I guess we want it to be for that specific user, so we provide that. But if we don't care about the project or the user, then we could omit them as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it looks like it works because I'm looking at the factory and token is
Yeah,
an
this you
incremental.
just looked at.
It should,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
hopefully.
But we
Ah,
expect.
Okay.
And
well,
that's
that's
19,
good.
right? So the
And
good and bad, yeah, it does mean
Good and
that it's
bad.
definitely a legitimate N+1. So yeah, let's go back to using your resolver then, which again, sorry for wasting a bit of time, but it's good to sort of understand the thought process.
That's okay. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Yes. And we didn't change anything here. This we can get rid of.
Yeah, and then the test, we just need to.
This back. I think that I didn't change anything else in this. I could probably just.
Yeah, pretty much. I still like having the create list.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so we're back to there. So now we need. So can you show me in the test actually what your selection was? So in your GraphQL query up a bit further.
Oh, up here.
Yeah, exactly. So your pipeline trigger, you're grabbing. So if you remove the owner, do you still get an N+1?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Should have really tried that before we re-implemented the resolver, but never mind.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought to try that because I was trying to figure out what was actually causing the N+1 because I couldn't tell what needed to actually be preloaded if that was the solution. But this is a great way to figure that out.
Because then my brain's just trying to figure out. I think we still do want to do the preload for pipeline triggers, but I'm not sure whether the preload is actually at the next level down. But yeah, we'll find that out.
Yeah, I was having a look at your achievements, MR, for because you had a similar N+1 thing, and I think you used looks ahead in that.
One test is going to fail because you're not getting owner anymore, but that's
right.
Okay, so it's definitely looks like it's doing additional query. So my trigger
Did we
ID,
try on? No, there's no.
So you can put the user back in, and I think we've got one unconditional preload that we want to do, and then there might be a conditional preload as well. So we need to find one which I suspect you've already got. Here's one I prepared earlier, whether it was the achievements or somewhere that we have. Yeah, so is that an unconditional preload or is that a conditional preload? Just
the N+1 be due to the can access project field. If that's checking permissions on the project.
Wait, can you say that again?
On the spec, we tried removing user.
Oh, this guy has to.
No, can access project. Could that be trying to access the project to check permissions?
The
That-
extra queries were selecting, I think, can you go to the test output again? I think the extra queries were specifically selecting tokens. So can you see, although you can't see the full query, it might be handy if we could. But if you look at the
Yeah.
expect 0 got 1, both of those are, it looks to me like it's probably selecting CI trigger where trigger ID is equal to. So I think it's just that. But it certainly might be. So I think we want to add unconditional includes, is what it's called, into the resolver.
Okay. Undo
So if you that's right. Yeah, I think so.
one of these.
Um
This was batch load stuff, as was this. Unconditional.
yeah, that looks good. So okay, unconditional include achievement. I think I would get rid of, no, I would just put in there my brain is, I don't know whether this should be at the parent level though. So what are we're loading the CI/CD settings. Yeah, I think this actually needs to be at the level above, because what we're actually saying is when you grab the CI/CD settings,
Preload all the
grab-
triggers.
yeah, I think so.
Oh.
So is so with the query, can you remind me, are you selecting a project and then the CI/CD settings and then the triggers? Yeah, project
That's right.
CI/CD. So is CI/CD settings, is that using a resolver, or is that just a, so
I
guess
don't
if
think
we
it
look at the
does.
project type, I hope
Yeah.
I've got this right. Yes, that's not losing a resolver. So I'm just going to have a look.
And that
Can
failed
we
the same way, Marco.
Can we spin up a quick resolver for CI/CD settings?
Yeah. Probably do something in this folder.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. CI/CD settings. Let's just get rid of all of this for now. Okay.
I think it needs to be CI/CD settings resolver. I don't know whether it'll get
Right.
asked about that or not.
No, you're right. Solver. Okay, and then on the CI/CD settings, we can put the resolver.
Perfect.
CI/CD settings. Okay, and what do we actually put in it? This is where you want to preload.
So I think you want your so apply, God. To find what was the achievements one that you found?
The user achievements resolver, and there's also the just achievements resolver, but this one has the unconditional includes.
Okay, so I don't think we're actually doing a look ahead here. So that's what I don't really know. We want unconditional in, like we are going to do a look ahead eventually, but it's quicker to do an unconditional include first. If that fixes it, then we can then make it a conditional one. So if you just, I don't know how we do, maybe we do just go for it and do it properly from the first place. Yeah, go on then. Let's copy the preload section. That's it. And we want, yeah.
Grab that over here. Okay. Is that right? Resolve with look ahead. Yep. Okay, and then this would be just triggers. No, pipeline triggers.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get, like, because in here, yeah, I don't think that's going to work because it doesn't, like, pipeline triggers don't exist. But we can try it. So in here would have, what is it, apply look ahead, and then
Apply look ahead.
Then I guess it'd be object dot
CI/CD setting.
Oh wait, so CID dot.
So it gives one level above, is that right? So it's the giving object is the project.
Yeah, so I guess you're right. Yeah, dot CICD. Yeah. Yeah, so I think actually the preloads. Oh God, so this is the CI/CD settings resolver. So that's why I was thinking unconditional, because it's not. Oh, is it? I'll try it. Just try running that first of all. Let's see if it explodes and go.
Just try running the tests.
Yeah.
Or a GraphQL.
Well, let's run the test. I think that will explode if the GraphQL is not going to work. But I think we've got. So no, that could be right.
It makes sense to me, I think. But then is the owner field going to be a problem on pipeline triggers?
Yes, I think we may need to then handle that as well.
Then do the same.
Unless, again, maybe it does a join in that scenario. I'm not sure. Rather than executing the queries separately, I'm not quite sure how it. Yeah. It didn't fail, did it?
Oh, I changed. I must have left achievement somewhere. Does anybody see it?
Not in here, maybe. Yeah, there.
Yep. This. We should just put this back for now, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, why does it autocomplete?
So again, if this ends up being the fix, then we can go back to not having a resolver. But I feel like we're probably going to need it for one reason or another. I feel bad because I've tackled enough of these, but I don't know if that always just that little bit different. And it's always having to think a couple of levels up and down that just makes them complicated.
It's tricky. Now I know why my reviewer went on vacation for 2 weeks.
I guess that's why we maybe got a false positive on the n+1 because it failed rather than.
Okay,
Same as before.
still the same.
And what's the failure above?
Oh, that's because we took out the owner on the CI on this. Let's revert that. Okay, so that's the only
Gotcha.
one failing.
Okay. So when we're grabbing CI/CD settings, if we want pipeline triggers, preload pipeline triggers. So I kind of would more expected of an error rather than it to be successful but not pass the test. My understanding is you're saying when they request the pipeline triggers, preload pipeline triggers as like a field, or not a field, as like a database relation, but it's not. It's you actually want it to preload project triggers or project is project triggers. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I don't quite know how to find one now. I'm just gonna look preloads and see if there's any that look kind of that complicated, because it's the object. There you go. So there's a nested one down there that's saying if you select, so maybe copy that and we'll try and sort of, yeah. So it's if we select pipeline triggers, we want it to preload project, and then is it triggers? So where nested is, you want to do project.
Oh, I see. I think it's got to be
Well,
project CI/CD settings, then triggers. Because we took
Actually,
out that
no.
delegates on the project.
No, but I think we're not saying. I think we're telling it like more the active record things to preload, if that makes sense. We're not telling it the graph. That's how I understand it anyway. But actually, I don't think this is what I think this is saying if somebody selects pipeline triggers and then selects project from pipeline triggers, then preload triggers. I think that's what it's saying. But let's run it.
Oh.
I think this is actually like it's more kind of looking if they've selected pipeline triggers and projects, but I could be wrong. That's
Tricky.
maybe we'll try adding that delegate back in. That might actually make our lives easier again. It just means we can reference this directly rather than having that kind of nested notation.
Darn.
So just so that. Yeah, it kind of looks right, doesn't it? But the only other thing, I don't think this is going to make any difference, but can you remove the curly braces from your preload?
Yes. And just run that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's going to make any. I can see ones where if we select something, we then preload several things. So we've got like a comma separated array. Oh, yeah. I found...
Hmm.
Same.
So let's, yeah, I think my last idea is to get rid of our resolver for pipeline triggers, or bypass it essentially. So we'll change it. I'm just going to see if when you do delegate, if you can use an alias, because that means you don't have to update your test.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
So put the delegate back on the project CI/CD settings.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Bit better, like the Ruby docs, really.
You can probably create an alias.
Just as a separate.
Do you know what the syntax is?
It should be after you you declare the delegate, just alias, column name that you want, space, name of the delegate. On
so
a
this
new
is
line.
on a new line, right? Okay, so you're creating the delegate in the normal way and then creating an alias.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a separate. Gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay, alias.
So the name that you want.
Pipeline triggers.
With a column, so that's a symbol.
Yep.
Without the comma, yeah. And that was it.
I think it
project-
does need the oh no, I'm looking at alias method, not alias. Sorry.
But I think it should be project triggers because that's the actual name of the delegate. Like pipeline triggers is okay because that's what you want. But yeah, exactly.
I see. Right. Okay. Gosh,
We can
that's
try it,
confusing.
can't we?
Okay. That was everything. So we got
I
rid of the
think-
resolver
I think so.
and alias. Okay. It's not a problem just with the test, right? This looks pretty straightforward, I think.
Did it error? Sorry, I missed the.
It's still running.
Still running. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think so. We can. We'll have to have a look how, but we can do something to get more detail on the SQL. Like output the actual queries.
Nope.
Doesn't look like it's making any difference at all, does it? So I'm curious what CI trigger requests is that triggers or it hasn't got to go for another table, has it?
Oh, I don't know what the CI trigger requests are.
Trigger requests. I think, oh God, we've been barking up the wrong tree all along. Yes, okay. Yeah, so I think actually it's not even loading of the CI triggers that's a problem. It's the CI trigger request. So what's it trying to get from CI trigger request? User variable. I don't really know what's in there. So project triggers in the array where you've got trigger. Oh God, how do we? Can we then do can we change triggers from a symbol to like not and then put an array? Yeah, colon there and then an array and put oh God, so
A
what would it be? Trigger requests, I guess.
Not
Don't
CI
think it
trigger.
has, yeah, I don't think it has the CI prefix, but again, this is where it all gets a little. Well,
Or would it just be requests because it's already triggers?
I think because the model is, I don't know. Let's have a look what the relationship is defined in CI trigger.
The trigger model?
Yes. I think it has many trigger requests, so I think it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be trigger requests that we want to.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that needs to be a symbol, I think, trigger requests.
Right.
This is probably complete bonkers, but. So is there anything in your GraphQL query that you load in? So trigger requests. I don't know what trigger requests actually contains.
Yeah, I didn't realize that those existed, honestly. Trigger requests. Yeah, I'm not
But
really
yeah, I
sure what those even
completely
are.
completely missed that. That's what the select statement. That's what it's selecting from trigger request. It's not even selecting trigger. Okay, so it hasn't made any difference. Can we try getting rid of all the nesting and just having, if you select pipeline triggers, preload trigger request? Don't know if it's going to understand how to kind of resolve that,
Do
but
that.
if not, again, we might even want to try moving, like bring the pipeline trigger resolver back again and try doing this preload in there.
Of the trigger
Now
request.
that, yeah, now that we,
Mhm.
or I say we know, I'm fairly sure that that message is indicating that it's the trigger requests that are causing the n+1, not the triggers themselves. Make no difference.
Hmm.
Is there a relationship from CI/CD settings? CI/CD.
On the model, the CI/CD settings.
Yeah. I don't know whether that would matter or not, but yeah, I couldn't find it either. Well, let's just do what I was suggesting there. So we'll bin this resolver off. So we'll stop you. So you can leave the resolver, but just remove it from.
Yeah, the project.
Yeah.
Where did the project go? Project type. Okay, so we get rid of that. Just get rid of it. Okay. Then bring back on the CI/CD settings,
Do you know what we
the
didn't
pipeline trigger resolve.
do as well? We didn't actually set the look ahead. Do you want to just undo that quickly? We'll just try. So yeah, remove that. Go back to your project type. Can you see above where we've got where did I see it? On line 346.
346. Ah, this.
Yeah. Can we add that in as well?
Are we keeping the resolver?
Yeah. I'm not sure if without it doesn't pass the look aheads. So it didn't actually know that we were what we were requesting. So
Oh. Okay, I don't think I changed anything else, so
no. I almost want it to give us an error to say that it couldn't preload trigger requests.
Yeah, anything different from this would be a hint.
Yeah. Okay, so let's remove this resolver as we were about to do a minute ago, and let's add the resolver to triggers instead.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got rid of that. Perfect.
Then we put this back.
Yeah.
And now this is active. Okay.
And
We want the look ahead.
I don't think we need it if we do an unconditional include. So do an unconditional include for was it trigger requests? I don't think it needs to be. No, I don't think it needs to be that complex. Let me just find.
Oh, it can just be.
Yeah, I think it can just be a symbol of yeah, it's trigger requests, wasn't it?
Trigger request. Yeah.
And it should be a symbol, so just with the colon at the beginning.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But doesn't this come from looks ahead? Or no?
Yeah, maybe.
That was my understanding from the docs, but I could be wrong here.
Maybe so. Okay, my understanding of looks ahead is probably completely wrong, but I kind of thought let's run the test while I'm trying to sort of keep it uncommented.
Keep it. Okay.
Yeah, keep it in there, but we won't pass the extra. So the way that I understood the extra and the sort of the whole kind of look ahead thing is that it basically it's looking specifically at your GraphQL query and only so your preloads that we've currently got commented out. Like if we add owner in, it will say only if you're selecting the owner field, then preload these things. Only if you're selecting the project field, preload this. But in this instance, we always want to preload trigger requests. So I don't quite understand how the look ahead thing ties in with this, if that makes sense, because we don't care what the query is. We know because this is the pipeline triggers resolver, we already know that they want the pipeline triggers. So what bits it complain? Okay, so I think you probably do need your resolve with look ahead, maybe. Is that what it's complaining about?
Is that 500 resolver 13? Oh, yes, probably the resolve with look ahead. Maybe.
Try. Trying to find if there's any that we've got unconditional includes but haven't got. Yeah, I think I found one. So we still use apply a look ahead. Wonder if this is going to be one of the ones that we need to understand more, like under the hood, in order to really understand this, to be able to solve it going forwards.
Oh boy.
Is that running again, or
yeah,
did it? Yeah, awesome.
Still going. Oh my gosh. It passed.
I was so ready to admit defeat as well.
Wait, so did
Amazing.
we actually fixed it then? That was the thing. It just needs to unconditionally preload trigger requests.
Yeah, there's just the only thing that I'd be interested in knowing is if we could do that preload or unconditional include without the resolver, and it probably doesn't matter, or it'd be over the top or unnecessary. In all honesty, I'm just gonna additional. Solver. Yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can find any types in. So I've found a few instances before where I've done something and not really needed it. No, I think we probably do. No, spell it wrong. Additional.
We don't need the resolver for the CI/CD settings in the end.
No.
Yeah.
Long-winded way about.
Okay.
So that all boils down to me not looking hard enough at the error message in the first place. That was actually complaining about the N+1 being on trigger request, not on pipeline triggers.
That was tricky though, because I had nothing to do with trigger requests. Well, I guess, I mean, it was connected under the hood, but I hadn't been
Yeah.
playing with that, and that wasn't what the resolver was for.
I'm interested to know what's in. I'm just gonna have a look in SQL to see what trigger requests contains, and I can't remember how to select start and trigger requests.
I don't think we need this either, the delegates anymore.
No, so it contains variables. It's really stupid because I don't see why we we're not selecting anything. I don't think that actually needs this, so I don't really know why it's trying to load it, unless pipeline triggers does some kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, like forces trigger requests to load or something. But I don't see that your GraphQL query is selecting anything that should need it. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't need anything from that table. So why is...
I messed something up. What did I do?
Maybe you were changing the files while the tests were getting ready.
Oh, that could be, maybe. Let's try again. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think you were right, Marco. Great.
So might be asking that the reviewer or maintainer adding a comment on that where you're doing the unconditional include, just to sort of say, I don't know why it's loading like this table, or why it needs this table, but without it we get the N+1. It might even be something that would create a follow-up issue to try and dig more into, but Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, what we don't need anything from that table. So why is Postgres actually using it?
Mm.
But it fixes your issue. So hopefully I'm
Yes. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was super helpful. Been stuck on that for a while.
No problem at all. Right, I think it's probably lunchtime for everyone, apart from Andrew, who it's bedtime for.
It's only 9:30.
Okay.
I'm just fighting this GraphQL mutation stuff because I've no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, it's coffee time.
Oh, it's pasta time.
Oh,
I
pasta.
I thought it looked more like a little metallic beer stein to me. So you can tell what's on all of our minds: coffee, pasta, and beer.
I thought it was
Sorry,
like
Andrew. Go on.
cappuccino. Go ahead.
What were you battling with, Andrew? I've only got a few minutes before I have to drop off, but if there's something we might be able to help you a little bit with.
Oh, I don't know what the problem is. Hang on a sec. I'll do it. What do I want? Hopefully you can see my virtual machine.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Right. So this is following on from Marco doing the forks button to view. I've been working on this star button.
Awesome. Yeah.
So this is now a view component as well.
Great.
It renders properly. It looks exactly the same. I've hooked this up to a new mutation though. But now when you click on it, it does a GraphQL query, but then it comes back with a load of errors about everything that's wrong with it.
Okay.
So undefined field. Okay. I don't know. In the code, I've tried adding this new does this need registering somewhere?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be the issue.
So there's a mutation type.rb.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And if you copy and paste somewhere.
What is it? What do they call this one? Mutation project star. Mutation. Oh. That's the only mutation for a project. That's weird.
Does seem surprising, doesn't it?
What are we at? 16.4, I think.
3, I think. So I don't know now. No, you let me question it. No, I think 3 still.
Right?
I think so.
Oh, I've already saved it with 4. I don't want it to recompile again. Right, let's see. Do I need to reload? No, I don't, because it's doing a backend call. Yeah, the mutation itself, just so you know what's going on. Very simple mutation, passing the project ID, which is the path for it, and a boolean of whether or not we should be starring it or unstarring.
Great.
That's calls the mutation star project with those two passed in, and then the only thing that's returned is the count.
Cool.
In the mutation here, we've got the project path and the starred, and the resolve is just a very basic. If this is kind of catch, if you mash it, if you mash the button a load of times,
I know
only,
we sort of
yeah
we talked about should it just always toggle it, but we decided that was a bad idea for that reason. And we also talked about having separate mutations, but I think this is the right solution. So awesome.
Yeah, so this will only toggle it if at the time it's being processed, it is different from the status that you're passing in.
Yeah, makes sense.
That looks like it's failed again. Oh, is that not Ruby? Dingy.
Yeah, I'd have to question it myself.
Or is that just not? Wait, you don't have. No, it is Ruby, isn't it? You don't have the colon on the end is making it into a hash thing, isn't it? What do they call it?
Yeah, I would probably get rid of the second equals anyway, just on the safe side. But
Oh, really?
yeah, just there's no need to.
In PHP and JavaScript, it's always double equals.
It would be double equals, but not equals. That's single when it's not equal to.
Oh, right. So in
Because
PHP,
your equivalent would be triple equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you always do those, yeah.
Right, gotcha. So the other thing, I mean, this works to be fair, but you could always run it in graphical, like Missy was with her one earlier, just to get a bit more, I don't know, interpretable response.
Oh gosh. Well, that's a lot of other errors now, but at least it is actually calling the thing now.
It's finding the mutation, right?
Yeah. Argument project path is required, expected type ID.
So I'm guessing that somewhere in your view component, maybe you've not correctly passed your variables through to the.
I'm passing it. Oh, hang on a minute. Project. Wrong one. Project ID, project ID, project ID. That should be project. Oh dear. What should it be? Because in the back end, it's
Right,
project path. I think most places use project path, so I'll probably stick with that.
Okay.
I'm going to change that. I'm just going to leave that like that for now. And then I'll rename that later on.
So it isn't an ID, it is actually a path, right?
Yeah. It is the path. So this would be flight.js/flight. But throughout the code base, it's referenced as project ID or project path.
Gotcha.
There's a bit of okay, I don't know why that's failing now. Argument project path.
So can you see the actual request?
Maybe.
So project ID is just a number, is just an ID. So I think that's why it's
Oh.
failing.
Oh yeah. But why is that not renamed?
Good question. Did we reload the page? I don't know if we have even needed to.
That is a project ID. And then this on to change them.
But for this, it need. Oh, would it? I don't know. So I don't know if it needs to be a GraphQL ID.
Mhm.
What's a
Rather
GraphQL?
than-
Oh, the GID
Weird
colon
one.
/
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. I'm happy to end this here and carry on poking around for a bit. I know you
Awesome.
guys have got other
Awesome.
things on.
Sounds good. Have a great day, all, and hopefully see you all next week.